Good afternoon. This is Robert Goodman with another edition of Robert Reads for February 2023. We're going to be looking at the works of Langston Hughes this month. Langston Hughes, his full name was James Mercer Langston Hughes. He was principally known as the innovator of jazz poetry, but he was actually one of the leading figures of the Harlem Renaissance. He was briefly educated as an engineer. The story goes that he did this to please his father, and he lasted about a half year in engineering school and decided to take up writing. And he cultivated his writing skills as a journalist, first with the Chicago Defender, which was an African American newspaper, and then again with the Baltimore Afro-American, another black newspaper, and committed to bringing news to the African American community. One of the most interesting aspects of this period when he was with the Baltimore Afro-American is that he actually was covering the Spanish Civil War, not from afar. He did it as a correspondent out in the field and actually volunteered in the American brigades in the conflict. He wrote a couple of pieces about this. One was called Postcard from Spain and the other Letter from Spain. Now, a lot of his work comprised a lot of creative effort around the modern plight of African Americans. It was often characterized as rather poignant, very sincere, and unapologetic. And throughout his lifetime, he received a multitude of awards, starting with the Intercollegiate Poetry Award in 1927. And the last one he received was the Spingarn Medal in 1960. He was also known as a playwright and a short story writer. Some of his better known plays include Mulatto, Simply Heaven. One of his pieces of poetry, Harlem, had a line that inspired the title of the play, Raisin in the Sun. He was quite prolific right up to the end. The last book that he published was called The Panther and the Lash, which was about the Black Power movement in 1967. Unfortunately, later that year, he died, apparently from complications from prostate cancer. I'm going to be reading two pieces today. The first one is called Dreams. The first one we'll be reading is Dreams. Very short poem, but rather poignant. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. The second piece we'll be reading today is, it's entitled Democracy. Throughout his lifetime, he not only wrote prose and poetry about the plight of African Americans in the United States, but was rather a pioneer, especially in the demand for civil rights, and that they were entitled to the same rights as other Americans. The piece highlights this, and we'll read this in just a moment. I want to point out that the image on this slide of the damaged American flag is actually from an art studio in Asbury Park that was produced by my friend Pat Scavino. Anyway, I thought it was a compelling image for this poem, and we'll now recite Democracy. Democracy will not come today this year, nor ever through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my own 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course. Tomorrow's another day. I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed, planted in a great need. I live here too. I want freedom just as you. Langston Hughes, Democracy. I'd like to thank the Alberon Library branch here